Welcome to my channel, and today I will be ranking Dead Rails classes. Starting off, none. There's nothing to say. You just start off with the shovel. Next, we have the werewolf class. So the werewolf class is one of the best classes. In Night, you have double damage, double health, and double speed. There is a downside where you have 90% speed, damage, and health during the day. So you're a little bit weaker during the day, but stronger during the night. It depends on how you use it. What is your strategy? If you use it right, it can be the best class. It costs 50 bonds, so it's in the middle. It's not insanely cheap, but I'll put it at best for now. Next, we have the Pack Master. It costs 35 bonds. You can tame any attacking wolves, and you start off with 3 tamed wolves. I'm not a giant fan of this one. I know some people out there are, just because, who doesn't like to have a ton of wolves on their side? But it can complete the quest for Dancing with Wolves. It's the challenge, which you have to get, I think it's like 20 wolves on your side at once or something, but I'm going to put this one as mid. It's better than having no class, obviously. The next one we have is the horse class. It's an April Fool's event. So, it turns you into a horse. There's not much to it. You're a little bit faster. The downsides is you have a larger hitbox, and the physics, the model physics of it, is pretty bad. I'm just going to put that in mid. It's not the best. I would rather have no class. The next class we have is the High Roller. So, the High Roller, I like it. It's a little bit risky. There's a reason it's called the High Roller. So, you are 10 times more likely to get struck by lightning with this class. It costs 50 bonds, which is pretty expensive, but it's pretty easy to get. It's not the most expensive class, but I think it's worth the money. But you obtain 1.5 times the money from money bags. So if you pick up a money bag for, let's just say, $100, which I know doesn't exist, but in the game, let's just say if you did, you would collect $150. If you don't have a lightning rod, it's not good. It's not worth it. You 10 times more likely to get struck by lightning. It's not worth it. But I think it's one of the best classes out there. All you have to do is get a lightning rod. So, you get a lightning rod, and as long as you're near a lightning rod, maybe when invading houses and towns and stuff, though, it might be risky. But on your train, you're fine. If you get a lightning storm, you got to be really careful. Get right next to the lightning rod. Make sure you don't get struck. I think it's one of the best classes out there. I'm gonna put it in best. The next class we have is the Cowboy. So the Cowboy doesn't have any special abilities. You just start off with a revolver and 2 packs of revolver ammo, which is 48 ammo. So you can use, you start off with the game at $70, assuming you sell the gold bar. So you could use all that money towards coal or something else, and you wouldn't have to spend it on a revolver. And you get 2 ammo, which would be 48. It does cost 50 bonds, so it's in the middle. There's no downsides, but you also start off with a tamed horse, so I think it's on the better side. I'm gonna put that in good. Next class we have is the Conductor. The Conductor, it's one of the best classes, no doubt, but the problem with it is you don't start off with a shovel. You don't. And that's the problem. So you're gonna kind of have to stay in the train, and you have half the health you do. You only have 50 health, assuming, the game you would have 100, you only have 50. So you only have half the health you have, and plus that with no melee weapon. It's mainly the health thing that makes it But like if you're playing solo, no, this one's like trash to mid. But if you're playing in like a group of 3 or 4, it's probably one of the best classes out there. So I'm gonna put it in best, but it also depends on your play style. The next one is the Alamo. The Alamo is, I think, in my personal opinion, it's one of my favorite. Honestly, I mean, it costs a lot of bonds, but, like, yeah, I like it. You start off with 3 sheet metal, 3 barbed wire, and a helmet. Put it right by your windows. Use the barbed wires. What I usually do is put one in the very back and 2 each side of the windows. It's really worth it, in my opinion. And like I said, I think it's better when you play in a group, but it's really worth it in solos. I'm going to put this one in best. Next, we have the Vampire. A lot of people don't like the fact where you take damage in the sunlight. You don't take a ton, but if you're out in the sunlight for a little while, it can do some damage. But you are 2 times faster than you are normally. You do double the amount of melee damage. And you start off with a vampire knife. The vampire knife heals you when you damage an enemy. So either as long as it's night, or as long as you're continuously killing like zombies per se, it's worth it. Like you will always be at max health. But you don't take a ton of damage in the sunlight, but if you're out there for, let's just say, 30 seconds without killing a single enemy, you can take a lot of damage. Well, I'm going to put this one in best. By the way, one of these best tiers, at the very end of the video, I'll move it up to the best tier in Dead Rails. Next, we have the Priest. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of the Priest. It costs 75 bonds. It's a waste of your money, in my opinion. There's no downsides to it other than the massive price tag. But you start off with 2 crucifixes and 2 holy waters. That can get you 10,000, 20,000 meters or kilometers if you are using them. If you're not, then it's not really worth it anyways. But you're also completely immune to lightning strikes, which I've been struck by lightning like 3 times, and I play Dead Rails a lot, so it's not really worth it for the price tag, but I'm gonna put it. I mean, if you're playing in a group and other people have classes, it can be good in certain situations. Like, if you could just round up a ton of zombies, like maybe like the werewolf or the vampire can round up a ton of zombies, and then you could just use the holy water. But I'm not a giant fan of it, but some people are, so I'm gonna put it in good. Okay, next is the Survivalist. The Survivalist spawns with the Tomahawk and deals more damage the less health you have. So let's just say if you're like really, really low, you will do a ton of more damage, and you have a Tomahawk instead of a shovel, which can do a lot more damage than that. It gives the player, when you're lower health, it gives the player 2 times gun damage, but the downside of it is it's only good when you're close to dying, which encourages people to get low, which can be risky and dangerous. But having it in the like late or mid game is probably when it's the best, because when you're low, you can one-shot enemies. But when you're, like, normal health, it's just like normal, no extra boosts. So, I mean, if your playstyle is kind of run around and try to kill a lot, it's probably for you. I'm also going to move the High Roller down and the Alamo down to good. I don't think there should be so many in best, and I think that these are definitely better than like the Priest and the Cowboy. Okay, next we have Zombie. Terrible. It's terrible. I mean, it's considered the worst class in all of Dead Rails. So you can eat zombie corpses to gain health, but the downside is you cannot use bandages or snake oils, and you need to use bandages and snake oils. Like, snake oils especially when you're, let's just say if you're looting, like, the castle or Sterling, you're gonna want to use snake oil. So, it's not worth it whatsoever. People consider it the worst class in all of Dead Rails. I'm gonna put it in trash. Next, we have the Ironclad. Some people like the Ironclad. Some people don't. Some people are just okay with it. But I'm a big fan of it. But I think it's paired really good with snake oils. So the Ironclad, it starts you off with full armor. Left, right shoulder armor. You get the chest plate and you get the helmet. The downside to it is you 10% less movement speed. So you would not want to play solo with this class. It's better for like a team play. It's kind of like a tank. Like you could compare it to a tank where it's slow, beefy, but it's like basically indestructible. But this class, the really bad part about it is the price tag. It's the most expensive class in Dead Rails. But like if you have a lot of bonds, I think it's one of the best. But I think there are better classes than it. But if you're kind of just like playing for fun in a way where you kind of just like to kill things and you're not really like sweating the game and you don't really want to die, Ironclad is probably would be one of your favorites, just because you can kind of, I don't want to say goof around in a way, but like you don't have to worry about dying as much. So I'm going to put that in one of the best ones. The next one we have is the Miner. I think the Miner is decent. It's not the best ones, but so the Miner spawns you off with the pickaxe. There's not much to it other than that. Other than you start off with 2 coal and a mining helmet. So the 2 coal is really useful, especially if you're playing solo, because then you could use the rest of your, like, you can start off with 3 coal, assuming what I do is I buy a revolver ammo, and a piece of coal, so you can start off with 3 coal, which is enough to get you to the second outpost. It also pairs really well with the Alamo, especially if you're doing the pacifist quest, because the Alamo can protect you, and then the Miner can go around and collect coal and iron and gold nuggets from the sides of the ores that spawn on the side of your train. So you won't have to go through towns and all of that to get coal and money. I think it's one of the better ones, but when you're playing solo, it's not the best one. Also, I would avoid trying to do like combat much if you're not going for the pacifist quest, which is usually the only time I use it. But avoid combat and focus on mining ores. That's mainly what you would want to do. But the reason why it's better than what it sounds is because it's cheap. It's probably the first class you would want to get. It's only 15 bonds. I'm gonna put it in good. Next up is the Arsonist. I'm not a big fan of the Arsonist, but no. You start off with 4 Molotovs, and you do double fire damage. So this will be good in multiple situations where, like, let's just say if you got the vampire or the werewolf, kind of the same way with the priest, and they kind of rounded them up since they're faster, and you just chuck the Molotov into the horde of zombies and they all die. It's worth it. Also, if you like to buy a lot of Molotovs at, like, the outposts, and you can use them for, like, the final boss battles, or if you're raiding, like, Sterling or Fort Constitution, especially when you're raiding the laboratory, you can use them in the boss fight when you hurl them all up, when you hop in the box. You just chuck it down there, they all die. I'm not like the biggest fan of it. I think there's better. But if you like seeing zombies light up on fire, I think it's fun. It's also relatively cheap at only 20 bonds. So I'm going to put it in mid. I think it's better than the horse, the packmaster, and just having no class, but I don't think it's better than any of the good classes. Next we have the doctor. The doctor spawns you off with 2 snake oils and 2 bandages. Especially early game, if you're playing with teammates and they die, early game you can revive them. So, also, if you're in a tough situation where, like, sometimes in early game I'll encounter a werewolf and I'm off the train, snake oils are useful. One of its main abilities, though, is you can sacrifice half of your health to revive another player. So if you ran out of bandages, you can revive them with the sacrifice of half of your health. But bandages are only $10, so the doctor's really only useful at the, like, early game. It's not useful whatsoever. Well, I mean it is, but it's not really that good unless you're playing with like 2, 3, or 4 people. I'm gonna put it in mid. The next class we have the musician. The musician is decent. It spawns you off with the banjo, and if you use the banjo, you can slowly heal your teammates. Obviously, it is not useful whatsoever, like at all. You're better off using the no class unless you like playing the banjo by yourself. It is not useful by yourself. But if you're playing with a team, it's useful. I like it. It can be paired with the vampire. And the vampire can round up zombies, kill them, but when the vampire is taking damage in the sun, the musician can heal that back. So as long as the musician kind of stays away a little bit farther from the vampire, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to put it in good. The next class we have is the necromancer. The necromancer spawns you off with just a default shovel, but it has a 25% chance to reincarnate any dead corpse. So, using math, if you were to kill 4 zombies, it's not 100%, but if you were to kill 4 zombies, one of them would turn on your team. It's not really that good in my opinion. I'm going to put it in mid. The next class is the milkman. The milkman is kind of a joke in a way. I mean, it can be useful if you're stuck in like a certain situation and you are close to dying, but it is not worth the hefty 75 bond price tag. Not whatsoever. I think it should be priced at like 15 or 20. But basically how it works is if you get like a bottle of milk and you were to cover yourself, the more you are covered in milk, the more powerful you are. It just grants speed, health regeneration, and more damage. But unless you're finding like bottles of milk everywhere, it's not really worth it. Especially since it costs so much, I'm not a big fan of it. I'm gonna have to put it in mid. The next one is the president. This was one of the newly added classes in Dead Rails in the new update. It's 100% useless unless you're playing with a team. But every time you die, it spawns one of those soldiers. The soldiers are the same ones that you find in Outpost, like walking around. But the problem is the enemies can see you like 2 times as far. Like, zombies will start chasing you from double as far away. So I'm not a giant fan of it. I'm gonna put it in Pac-Man. I'm gonna put it in mid. Next up we have the hunter. The hunter is terrible. It's probably, people used to call zombie the worst one. I think it's hunter. Hunter spawns you with a crossbow. It spawns you with a crossbow and bear traps. So, The crossbow is now the worst weapon in all of Dead Rails. It is terrible. Does, like, no damage. It's just bad. And the bear traps, they're not the best. I mean, they can be useful in certain situations, but the downside is all the wolves that spawn and that would normally spawn are all turned to werewolves. There's not much saying in this. There's, like, no damage. Just turns wolves into werewolves. It's not good. I think you're better off just having, like, the no class whatsoever. So I'm gonna put it as the worst class in all of Dead Rails. You're better off just picking any other class. The last class we have is the Demolishist. Demolitionist. The next class we have is the Demolitionist. So, the Demolitionist spawns you off with 4 landmines and a gunpowder barrel. The mines, it's not terrible, but I only use it, like, if I was, like, raiding, like, a town or something and they all start chasing you right when you arrive. Just put some mines down and they die. And you're immune to explosive damage, but it's not very often you, like, get exploded. I mean, I've died to landmines before, just not with this class, so, I mean, you don't die to them, but you kind of waste them. I don't like it. I'm gonna put it in trash. It's better than Zombie and Hunter, but it's not worth it whatsoever. And the price of 75 bonds. No, it's not worth it at all. Now, I will be picking the best class in all of Dead Rails that you could pick. I think the best class is the Vampire. My reasoning for that is you don't take much damage during the day, and all you have to do is just kill some mobs and you can take some of their health. And you could you're double speed and double melee damage, and you start off with that vampire knife, which is pretty OP. You take their health. It's the best class, in my opinion, that you can get in Dead Rails. Thank you for watching today's video. Please subscribe to the channel. It's free. There's no reason not to, and it just helps me out. Thank you. Peace.